Every second, companies collect enough data to fill 10 million USB drives. Take a moment to let that sink in. That's every second. Your clicks, your searches, even the apps you use are constantly feeding information to some of the biggest companies in the world. But why is your data so valuable? What are they doing with it? Why are giants like Apple, Google, and Meta locked in a battle over it? Is this fight for your benefit or theirs? In this video, we're diving deep into the unseen war between these tech giants. We'll uncover why your data has become their most prized asset, how they're fighting over it, and most importantly, what it means for you as a user. Let's understand the importance of data. User data is the foundation of the modern digital economy, powering the business models of tech giants like Apple, Google, and Meta. Advertising, for instance, depends heavily on user data. Companies collect information about your browsing habits, purchase history, and even location to create personalized ads. These ads are incredibly effective, driving high engagement and revenue. In 2023, digital advertising was valued at over $6 billion globally, with companies like Google and Meta controlling more than half of this market. Google alone earned approximately $224 billion in ad revenue, a staggering testament to how valuable your data is to their bottom line. Data is also a critical input to artificial intelligence and machine learning, two of the most burgeoning sectors in technology. Smart personal assistants, such as Google Assistant, Siri, and Alexa, depend on huge amounts of user data to operate and learn. For instance, with the new update release, Google Maps uses real-time aggregate information from millions of users to suggest the shortest route and evade traffic. Without this constant flow of information, these tools are not nearly as useful. AI is not just a luxury, but a business worth millions of dollars that is projected to generate more than $15.7 trillion of the global GDP by 2030, primarily based on user information. In addition to ads and AI, or artificial intelligence, data is an important prerequisite to enhance products and services. Businesses analyze how you engage with their applications to find bugs, enhance the design, and design new functions. For instance, Apple has employed data to manage battery health and ensure that all the company's devices are compatible. This ongoing process, based on the data collected, can itself keep the customer base intact while commanding a premium price. The players and their stories. Now let's discuss how Google, Apple, and Meta collect data differently based on their business models and the stories they tell to the public. These are not just corporate policies. They are two very different worldviews on how data should be collected and commodified. Google's story. Google has built an empire on the foundation of data-driven advertising. Its business model is straightforward. Collect vast amounts of user data and use it to deliver highly personalized ads. This approach fuels products like Google Search, YouTube, Gmail, and Google Maps, which are offered to users for free, but are monetized through advertising. Google's pitch to users is simple. More data means better services and features for you. For instance, Google Search. Google processes more than 2 requests a second with its ecosystem and uses this along with more than 200 factors to modify its algorithms with an aim of providing faster, more relevant results. Likewise, YouTube keeps a record of what you watch in order to suggest videos that you are likely to watch. The company also employs Google Maps to offer real-time traffic information, which is very essential for the millions of people who use transport daily. These services are very useful, but they are associated with the collection of large amounts of information. This model has been shown to be highly lucrative. Consequently, in 2023, Alphabet, Google's parent company, made advertising revenues that equaled $224 billion and dominated 80% of its revenues. With every additional piece of information it acquires, the better the chances of advertising relevance and increased click-through rates. Therefore, higher returns for the advertisers. However, this exertion on data for advertisement has also raised complaints about aggressive intrusiveness and, therefore, has been subject to increased regulation and privacy concerns among users. Apple's contrasting story. While Google attracts attention as a provider of unauthorized access to users' information, Apple has adopted an opposite approach, presenting itself as a protector of its users' rights to privacy. Its business model is completely different from the traditional advertising business model. As it focuses on the sale of hardware, Apple's message is simple: give us more money for an iPhone and we will not sell your data. This has become one of the main tenets of Apple's branding and is appealing to consumers who are becoming more and more conscious of how their data is being used. In early 2021, Apple rolled out what is somewhat known as app tracking transparency, which forces apps to ask whether they want to be tracked across other apps and websites. This change affected firms such as Facebook and Google, which use tracking for advertising purposes. From users' point of view, ATT also allows them to have more control with their data. However, in the long run, it seems like Apple had its reasons to want to take this approach in order to stand out from competitors. Other features of Apple's products are also not left out of the company's privacy consideration. Such features may include Safari's Intelligent Tracking Prevention, which restricts advertisers from tracking users online, and iCloud's Private Relay, which encrypts users' internet traffic to protect users' browsing activity. However, these new technologies not only promote user trust, but also support Apple's high-end strategy. In essence, Apple has marketing speaked privacy into a selling point, a luxury. The client is inclined to get more devices, and they also buy into the offered services. Meta's strategy, a balancing act. Meta, the company that owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, is in a sector that depends on data-driven marketing. Facebook, for instance, gathers a wide range of user information, including your likes and friends, as well as your web history. This data feeds into its targeted advertising model that makes the company record over $117 billion in revenue in 2023. Meta's argument has always been that this data is used to foster communities and bring more relevant content to users. However, Meta has been on the receiving end of criticism over the handling of data. It lost its image when such occurrences as Cambridge Analytica and suspicions over fake news circulated widely. In response to these criticisms, Meta has shifted its focus away from public content and towards private messaging and community building. For instance, while WhatsApp is sold as a more personal communication solution, local to Africa given its encrypted end-to-end, also, Facebook has been advertising groups as places where people with similar interests could communicate with each other, which transitioned from posts accessible to all members of the network. Besides these changes, Meta has also tried to look more privacy-friendly. It has included elements such as the ad transparency tools and the checkup for privacy, which make the user understand how the data is being used, among other things. But the critics have said that these efforts are just a public relations stunt because Meta still relies on data collection to drive its operations. In other words, while Google relies on data as the core of its operations, Apple chooses to go the high ground by advocating for privacy, and Meta tries to find a middle ground between innovation and the need to regain people's trust. These different strategies reveal the manner in which the large tech firms are managing the challenging global environment for managing data and privacy. The fight for control. The battle between Apple, Google, and Meta over user data is not just a clash of companies, but a conflict of fundamentally opposing business models. At its heart, this fight is about control. Control over data, the digital economy, and ultimately, the user experience. Conflicting business models. Apple's introduction of privacy-focused policies, like App Tracking Transparency, ATT, has shaken the foundations of advertising-driven businesses such as Google and Meta. ATT, launched in 2021, requires apps to ask for permission before tracking their activity across apps and websites. This single change has significantly disrupted Meta and Google, which rely heavily on such tracking to deliver targeted ads. To visualize the impact, imagine a sports game where one team suddenly rewrites the rules mid-match, making it harder for their competitors to score. That's exactly what Apple did. By limiting tracking, Apple has cut off a critical data pipeline for companies like Meta and Google, forcing them to rethink their strategies. For Meta, the financial hit was immediate and severe. In 2022 alone, the company reported a projected loss of $10 billion in ad revenue due to ATT. Small businesses, too, felt the ripple effects, as many rely on Meta's detailed targeting tools to reach their audiences. Google has been affected less directly because of its dominant position in search and its control over the Android ecosystem. However, even Google faces increasing challenges as privacy regulations tighten globally. Apple, meanwhile, has used this disruption to its advantage. Its privacy-focused branding not only differentiates it in a crowded market, but also builds user trust. By effectively turning privacy into a premium feature, Apple has strengthened its position as a leader in consumer electronics, even as it undermines the business models of its competitors. How this affects users. For users, this battle creates a series of trade-offs. On one side is Apple's promise of greater privacy and control. Features like ATT, Private Relay, and Mail Privacy Protection means users can opt out of invasive tracking and feel more secure about their data. However, this privacy often comes at a price. Apple's devices and services are some of the most expensive on the market. On the other side, companies like Google and Meta continue to offer free or low-cost services fueled by user data. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Gmail remain accessible to billions worldwide because they're subsidized by advertising. But the cost of these free services is less tangible. Users must share their data, sometimes without fully understanding how it's being used. This trade-off boils down to a simple question. Are you willing to share your data for free services, or would you prefer to pay for privacy? It's a question that highlights the complexities of the digital age. While Apple appeals to those who value control over their data, Google and Meta rely on the convenience and affordability of their services to retain users. What's next? The future of data privacy is entering a transformative phase as emerging technologies, regulatory frameworks, and user demands converge to reshape the landscape. Decentralized data models are gaining traction, offering an alternative to the traditional systems dominated by tech giants. These models, often powered by blockchain technology, aim to decentralize data storage and give users more control over their information. Platforms using these methods, such as Ethereum-based identity solutions, allow individuals to manage and share their data securely without relying on a single corporation. This shift is expected to grow significantly, with the blockchain technology market projected to reach $163 billion by 2029, signaling a broader adoption of decentralized frameworks. At the same time, privacy-focused technologies are seeing rapid innovation. Browsers like Brave, which blocks trackers and ads by default, and search engines like DuckDuckGo, which avoid storing personal data, have grown in popularity. Brave alone reported over 50 million active users in 2023, reflecting an increasing preference for privacy-conscious platforms. Even tech giants like Google are evolving, introducing initiatives like Privacy Sandbox, which aims to reduce invasive data tracking while maintaining the efficacy of digital advertising. These advancements signal that the fight for user trust is pushing even the biggest players to rethink their strategies. On the regulatory side, governments around the world are taking stronger stances. The European Union's General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, introduced in 2018, has become a global benchmark, requiring companies to obtain explicit user consent before collecting data and threatening hefty fines for violations. For example, Amazon faced a record $877 million fine in 2021 for GDPR non-compliance. Similarly, the California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, empowers users with the right to know, delete, and opt out of the sale of their data, affecting businesses across the U.S. These regulations are likely to expand, with countries like India also introducing comprehensive data protection laws. The global data protection market, valued at $3.5 billion in 2022, is expected to grow to $10.3 billion by 2028, reflecting the increasing focus on regulatory compliance. As the digital landscape continues to evolve, it's clear that data will remain at the center of the tech world. The big question is, how much control do you really have over your personal information? Are you willing to trade privacy for convenience, or will you choose platforms that put your security first? Whatever path you choose, understanding this digital battle is key to navigating the future. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to stay informed and protect your data. What do you think? Are we heading towards a future where privacy is a luxury or a basic right? Let me know in the comments.